Imagine trying to open a brand new business where uh, making a single minor inventory mistake doesn't just get you a bad Yelp review. Like, it could literally cost you your operating
Oh,
license.
absolutely. Or worse.
Right. Or worse, it could severely impact someone's actual health. And, I mean, that is the daily reality of the pharmacy industry. It is a sector protected by this massive, intimidating fortress wall of regulations, DEA audits, and just insanely complex licensing hurdles.
Yeah, it's really no wonder that when, corporate professionals or multi-unit franchise investors look for recession-resistant opportunities, they look at healthcare, see that fortress wall, and immediately turn around.
Yeah, they run the other way.
Exactly. They just go buy another fast food franchise instead.
Which is a massive shame, honestly, because healthcare is basically the holy grail of recurring revenue. I mean, people will always need care no matter what the economy is doing.
Right.
So today's deep dive is all about how you actually scale that wall. We are breaking down a really massive stack of franchise disclosure notes, operational blueprints, and investment materials for a brand called Pharmaconic.
It's a fascinating model.
It really is. And the mission today is to figure out how a corporate professional like someone without an MD or an 8-year pharmacology degree can step in and actually own a fully licensed multi-specialty pharmacy.
Well, the short answer to that is systems.
Okay, and the long answer.
The long answer, and I guess what we'll be dissecting today, is how Pharmaconic has taken a highly clinical, intensely regulated environment and essentially mapped it into a replicable franchise model.
So they've standardized the hard parts.
Exactly. The founders, Stanislav Zavolunov and David Makdulin, they started this model back in 2020, and they are board-certified clinical experts. They recognize that while the medical side of pharmacy is, incredibly complex, the business mechanics could be streamlined. They could package it for outside investors.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we get into the investment capital required or the franchise support structure, we really have to look at the core product.
Definitely.
Because I look at this from a pure market share perspective.
Yeah.
If I am opening a Pharmaconic location, I am competing against massive multi-billion-dollar big box chains.
Oh, yeah. The ones on literally every major intersection.
Exactly. Every corner in the United States. So why on earth would a patient choose my new independent-feeling pharmacy over the giant chain they've been going to for a decade?
That is the ultimate hurdle, right? For any prospective franchisee. If your product doesn't pull market share from the giants, well, your business model just fails.
Yep.
But to understand the pull, you really have to look at the current state of the big box pharmacy. I mean, it has become incredibly sterile.
Highly transactional, too.
Highly transactional and just frustrating. You stand in a long line under these awful fluorescent lights, someone hands you a stapled paper bag, and you are literally rushed out the door.
Yeah, it's like the fast foodification of medicine.
That's a great way to put it, actually. The fast foodification of medicine. The pharmacists there are so overloaded with corporate quotas that they barely have time to make eye contact.
Let alone consult with you about what you're actually putting in your body.
Exactly. So Pharmaconic is operating on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They call it the iconic pharmacy experience.
The iconic pharmacy experience.
Yeah, and they are functioning much more like a boutique hotel.
Oh, interesting.
They focus entirely on high-touch, hyper-personalized, concierge-level care. And the internal data we reviewed shows a 95% patient satisfaction rate.
Wait, 95%?
Yes, which is virtually unheard of in retail healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the appeal of a pharmacist who actually remembers my name and takes 10 minutes to explain the side effects of my medication. That sounds great.
Right.
But how does that work operationally? Because you can't just mandate that your staff, be nicer and suddenly expect to hit 95% satisfaction.
No, you absolutely cannot.
You need infrastructure. Like, for example, the materials mentioned they offer free same-day delivery. How does a small franchise afford the logistics of same-day medical delivery without completely destroying their profit margins?
Well, it all comes down to their tech-driven back-end systems.
Okay.
See, a major reason big box pharmacists are so stressed out is that they are manually dealing with archaic inventory and billing software. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But Pharmaconic's franchisor provides this streamlined technology stack. It handles the heavy lifting of inventory forecasting, insurance billing, and, to your point about margins, route optimization for deliveries.
So the software is doing the logistical heavy lifting.
Precisely. When the software automatically batches deliveries by zip code and, handles the complex insurance prior authorizations in the background, it frees up the human capital in the store.
So the pharmacist is actually allowed to be a pharmacist instead of an insurance administrator.
Yes. And for you, as the franchise owner, this isn't just about feeling good about your community service. Like, this is a highly calculated customer retention strategy.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you deliver a post-surgical patient's pain medication to their front door the exact same afternoon they ordered it,
Wow, yeah.
or when your pharmacist proactively calls a patient's doctor to clarify a dosage issue before it becomes a problem, that patient is locked in.
They are never going back to the big box chain.
Never. You've built an incredibly sticky, loyal customer base.
Okay, that makes total sense for customer retention.
Right.
But let's shift to the unit economics here. Because being the friendly neighborhood pharmacist is great brand positioning, sure.
Right.
But you cannot build a scalable, highly profitable franchise solely on the razor-thin margins of standard copays. Like, the reimbursement rates from insurance companies for basic mass-produced pills are famously terrible.
They are completely abysmal, yes.
Yeah.
And if Pharmaconic only filled standard prescriptions, the financial model wouldn't be nearly as attractive to a multi-unit investor.
So what's the play?
Their strategy is deeply reliant on diversifying revenue through specialized high-margin care. We really need to look at two specific designations they carry.
Okay, let's hear them.
They are a 503A pharmacy, and they have BOC accreditation for DME.
Okay, let's translate that alphabet soup for the aspiring business owners listening. What exactly is a 503A designation, and how does it actually generate revenue?
Right, sorry. So a 503A designation means the facility is authorized by regulatory bodies to perform traditional compounding.
Compounding, meaning like mixing medications?
Basically, yes. It's custom manufacturing medication from scratch for a specific patient. Let's say you have a pediatric patient who desperately needs a specific blood pressure medication.
Okay.
But it's only commercially manufactured in a giant pill that the child physically cannot swallow.
Oh man, so a standard pharmacy just has to turn that patient away.
Exactly. But a compounding pharmacy takes the raw active pharmaceutical ingredients like the pure chemical powders and suspends them in a custom-flavored liquid vehicle that the child can actually take.
Wow. Yeah. But wait, that requires specialized equipment. I mean, you are talking about clean rooms, specialized ventilation, powder hoods, homogenizers. It sounds like a mini manufacturing plant.
It is a mini manufacturing plant, but here's the thing. The economics of compounding are fundamentally different from retail dispensing.
Because it's custom.
Yes, because you are providing a highly specialized, custom medical solution, you aren't bound by those same terrible insurance reimbursement rates of off-the-shelf drugs. The margins on compounded medications are significantly higher. You are charging for the clinical expertise and the custom formulation, not just dispensing a pre-made pill.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second acronym you mentioned was BOC accreditation for DME.
Yes. The Board of Certification, or accreditation for durable medical equipment.
Durable medical equipment.
Right. This is a massive revenue stream that most independent pharmacies completely ignore because the barrier to entry is just so annoying.
No red tape.
So much red tape. You can't just put a wheelchair or a post-mastectomy prosthesis on a shelf and sell it to someone on Medicare.
Right or not.
To bill Medicare or private insurance for specialized medical equipment like diabetic continuous glucose monitors or custom compression hosiery for circulation issues, you need specific facility accreditations.
Which takes time and money.
Surety bonds, an NPI number attached to that specific accreditation. It's a headache.
But the franchisor has already built the roadmap to acquire those accreditations for the franchisee.
That is the core value proposition right there. They hand you the playbook to unlock those high-margin revenue streams.
Okay, but hold on. I'm looking at the source materials we have here, and the list of specialties they handle under one roof is just massive.
It is extensive, yes.
They list dermatology, gastroenterology, prep kits, endocrinology, rheumatology, biologics, neurology therapies, pain management, women's health with hormone replacement therapy, and veterinary medicine. I have to stop you there. You're telling me they are mixing veterinary medicine for a golden retriever in the exact same building as human neurology therapies.
That is exactly what they're doing.
How does a single small franchise handle that? I mean, drugs expire. You can't just stock 50 different rare biologics and raw veterinary chemicals and hope a dog or a grandfather happens to walk in that week. The inventory waste would bankrupt you.
That is a phenomenal question, and it really gets to the heart of how modern pharmacy supply chains actually function. You do not keep hundreds of thousands of dollars of rare biologics sitting on a shelf waiting to expire.
So how do you fulfill the orders?
Pharmaconic utilizes a just-in-time inventory model, which is heavily supported by the franchisor's established supplier networks.
Oh, because you're part of a franchise.
Exactly. Because you're a part of a larger system, the franchise taps into centralized wholesale contracts. When a complex rheumatology prescription comes in, that specific biologic is ordered through the established supply line, and it arrives the very next morning.
Wow, so you aren't hoarding inventory. You are basically managing a highly efficient conduit,
Exactly. Wait, let me rephrase that. You are functioning as a localized hub.
a localized hub.
Okay. The strategy here isn't to be a chaotic jack of all trades. The strategy is to capture the entire household.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right. Think about the unit economics of a single family. The mother is coming to you for personalized, compounded hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
The grandfather relies on you for his diabetic supplies and his Medicare-billed durable medical equipment. And the family dog gets a custom compounded liquid medication because he refuses to eat pills.
The switching costs for that family become astronomically high.
Astronomical.
They leave your pharmacy, they have to go find a separate specialty clinic for the hormones, a medical supply store for the grandfather, and a compounding vet for the dog.
Which nobody wants to do.
Right. By centralizing it, you capture all that revenue.
And you become totally indispensable. That is how you build a business with a 10-year, 20-year lifespan in a single community. You aren't just a drive-through. You are the healthcare anchor for that neighborhood.
Okay, the clinical model is sound, and the compounding and DME strategies clearly explain how you achieve robust profit margins.
Right.
Now we need to get into the actual numbers, the mechanics, the investment. Because if I am a corporate professional listening to this, I'm wondering what it actually costs to build a mini manufacturing lab and a retail pharmacy.
Well, the initial investment range outlined in the franchise documents sits between $251,750 up to $409,900.
I am genuinely surprised by that. Under $500,000 at the top end.
Surprising, right?
Extremely. I would have guessed closer to $1 million just to get the doors open. What does that $250K to $400K actually buy you?
It covers a very comprehensive build-out. You are paying for the physical leasehold improvements, so building out the retail space, but much more importantly, constructing the required clean rooms and ventilation systems for the 503A compounding.
Okay, that makes sense.
It also covers the initial specialized equipment, the first wave of inventory for both traditional drugs and active pharmaceutical ingredients, the grand opening marketing, and of course, the franchise fee itself.
Wow. Okay, what about the ongoing economics? How is the franchisor making their money?
The ongoing structure is actually very favorable compared to standard food or retail franchises. They utilize a flat fee royalty structure.
Really?
Yeah. You are looking at a baseline royalty fee of $600 plus per month alongside a $200 plus monthly ad royalty operating on a 10-year renewable agreement.
Let me pause on that flat fee, because that is a massive detail. Most franchises take a percentage of gross sales. Usually anywhere from, what, 5% to 8%?
Typically, yes.
Why would Pharmaconic use a flat monthly fee? Isn't the franchisor leaving a ton of money on the table?
Well, because taking a percentage of gross sales in the pharmacy industry would financially ruin the franchisee.
Really? How come?
The cost of goods sold in pharmacy is incredibly volatile. Let's say you dispense a specialized cancer medication that costs you, the owner, $4,000 to acquire from the wholesaler.
Okay.
And the insurance company reimburses you $4,100.
Oh, well.
Right. Your gross revenue just spiked by over $4,000, but your actual profit was only $100.
I see.
So if the franchisor took a 6% royalty on that gross sale...
You would lose hundreds of dollars just by filling the prescription.
Exactly. A flat fee protects the franchisee from the wild fluctuations of wholesale drug prices.
That is a brilliant structuring choice. It completely aligns the franchisor's success with the franchisee's actual profitability.
It really does.
But I do have a major concern I need to bring up. The documents state that the franchise launched in 2021, and they currently only have 3 operating units.
That's correct.
3. That is not a mature franchise system. If I am an investor, I am terrified of being a guinea pig for an emerging brand that hasn't proven itself across 50 different state regulatory environments.
Look, that is the fundamental trade-off of any franchise investment, and you are totally right to view it with intense scrutiny. Investing in an emerging brand with only 3 units carries significant risk.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The corporate support team is still scaling, the brand recognition isn't national yet, and like you said, they haven't navigated every single state's unique board of pharmacy quirks.
So why do it? Why not wait 5 years until they have 50 units and let someone else take the arrows?
Two big reasons. First, territory availability. When you buy into a mature brand with 1,000 locations, the map is already completely carved up. You're left fighting for secondary or tertiary markets.
It's true. All the good spots are taken.
Exactly. With a 3 unit brand, if you are a multi-unit operator in, say, Texas, Florida, or the New York tri-state area, you can lock down prime Tier 1 territories. You have the leverage to negotiate multi-unit development deals that simply do not exist with legacy brands.
Okay, the upside is huge. And the second reason?
The founder's pedigree. Yes, the franchise entity only has 3 units right now, but the founders didn't just invent this concept in a vacuum in 2021.
Right.
They have been operating highly successful, highly complex independent pharmacies for years. They are policy leaders in this space.
Yeah.
What you are buying with that initial franchise fee isn't just the Pharmaconic brand name, you are buying their operational brain.
You are basically buying a turnkey roadmap through the regulatory minefield.
Precisely, excuse me, that is the exact point. If you, as a corporate professional, try to open an independent pharmacy tomorrow, do you know how to design a Schedule II narcotics vault that passes a DEA inspection?
Definitely not.
Do you know how to navigate the specific surety bonds required for Medicare DME billing? Or the exact HVAC airflow requirements for a hazardous compounding clean room?
I wouldn't even know where to find the application for half of those things.
And that is exactly why independent startups fail, or they end up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on specialized healthcare attorneys just to get off the ground.
Yeah, I can see how that adds up fast.
The franchisor has already mapped that all out. They provide the architectural specs, the licensing checklists, the compliance manuals, and even the hiring profiles for your pharmacist in charge. They de-risk the steepest part of the learning curve. You bring the capital and the management acumen. They bring the medical and regulatory blueprint.
It really reframes the whole concept of healthcare franchising, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You aren't buying a job as a pharmacist. You're building an infrastructure asset.
And it is an asset that operates in a profoundly resilient space. I mean, the demographics are undeniable right now.
The aging population.
Exactly. We have a rapidly aging population. Their healthcare needs are becoming increasingly complex, and they are currently being served by a monolithic pharmacy industry that frankly views them as a burden rather than a client.
Which brings up a really interesting broader point as we wrap this up. Look at where the broader market is heading. You have massive tech companies like Amazon spending billions to try and digitize the pharmacy experience.
Oh, for sure.
They want you to just click a button and have your standard pills mailed to you from a giant warehouse.
Which is incredibly convenient if you just need basic maintenance medications.
Right. But a digital warehouse cannot compound a custom liquid medication for your dog.
Yep.
A digital warehouse cannot fit an elderly patient for a post-surgical compression garment. And an app is definitely not going to sit down with a confused grandfather and explain how his new biologics interact with his diabetes medication.
And that is the ultimate moat against digital disruption. The physical, community-anchored pharmacy one that handles complex, specialized, high-touch care. It just cannot be easily replaced by an algorithm.
It requires humanity.
Exactly. That is the true value of the iconic pharmacy experience we discussed at the very beginning. It builds a localized trust that massive tech companies cannot replicate.
So, as an investor, you aren't just opening a storefront. You are stepping into a massive gap in the market. You are bridging the wealth creation potential of a structured, scalable franchise model with a very real, tangible community need.
You're building a healthcare fortress of your own.
Exactly.